Hi there, my name is Elise, and I am a holistic wellness coach specializing in integrated attachment theory. And I work with anxiously attached women to help them to overcome their core wounds and attract that secure, loving relationship that they've always desired and truly deserve. And today we are going to be talking about no contact after a breakup. Now, before we get started, if you are liking what you're seeing or if you're getting value, please place some comments down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you to see if this is something that you're going through, or maybe this is something that you've been through and you can share what's helped you. Also, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, let's begin. First of all, I want to say, if you are watching this video right now, it probably means that you're going through a really tough time. Believe me, I have been there myself. I have done no contact many more times than I would like to have. If you're watching this video now, you've probably just gotten broken up with, or perhaps you're the one who did the breaking up. But either way, you're probably going through a lot of pain, and you're just trying to find some sense of relief through this whole situation. And that's okay. That's okay. Now, a lot of you may be watching to try to get your ex back, which can happen. And other people might be watching this just so that they can find some sort of healing. And that's great as well. We'll be talking about both of those situations. So, what does no contact mean? Well, no contact means that you are not going out of your way to contact your ex. It's the intentional decision to break free from communication. So this means no calling, no texting, and no social media stalking. This is time to focus on you. Now you might be thinking, well, how can I focus on me? All I can do is think about this person. Yes, that's the reason why you need to focus on you during this time. When you have broken up with somebody, or you've been broken up with, you are going through an internal sea of turmoil, especially if you're anxiously attached. You are going through every conversation, every situation, every single thing that has taken place in your relationship, and trying to figure out what you could have done better, what went wrong, and how you wish you could just turn back time. And unfortunately, that is not something that we can control, but what we can control is what we do now and what we do in the future. So when we go through this process, as we're talking about this, I want you to keep that in mind. I need to take back my control. I need to take back my control. Control over the things that I can control. Not controlling somebody else, but controlling myself and my situation. So instead of placing all of this mental focus and attention on this other person, it's time to take a look inside, because breaking up with somebody is the best time for healing. It's the best time for growth. And this is exactly what you want to do to take advantage of this situation. Because if you do take advantage of this situation, it means one of two things. Either one, you can get your ex back, or two, you can get yourself back and attract an even better person. So now let's talk about how different attachment styles respond to no contact. And we're going to be focusing on the two types of avoidance. So let's look at fearful avoidance. Fearful avoidants are unique because they have aspects of the dismissive avoidant, which means keeping people at a distance. And they have aspects of the anxious side as well. So they tend to flip and flop between the dismissive and the anxious. So what does that mean for them in terms of no contact? Well, fearful avoidance, similar to anxious attachment, they love depth, they love connection, and they love closeness. So when you go no contact, they are going to be feeling this to a certain degree. However, there are some other things at play. If they are the ones who broke up, then that means that they were either extremely overwhelmed or extremely hurt. So when you enter no contact, they might actually at first experience a sense of relief because they are entering the deactivation mode where they are trying to separate from this person who is causing triggers within them. And getting that distance from this person is going to create relief because they can finally breathe and think and be on their own. During this time, you might notice that the fearful avoidant does not really seem bothered. They might be going out and partying, they might be enjoying in some creature comforts, and this is all part of the deactivation process and returning back to self. However, as time goes on, the more space that you give them, the more space and time they have to reflect. And because they fluctuate between that anxious and dismissive mode, once you give them enough space and time, they will start to neutralize back to center and then start craving that closeness that they have now been missing. Thais Gibson, who is the creator of the integrated attachment theory framework, likes to put it this way: avoidants act on their feelings minus their fears. So, at the beginning of a relationship, when you first start dating a fearful avoidant, they are at the beginning of their feelings and they don't really have any fears yet. So, they are full in on that relationship. They like the closeness, like I said. So, they're going to be very engaged and wanting to spend a lot of time with you. But as their feelings start to grow, so do their fears. And once their fears surpass their feelings, that's when they need to break off, whether they break up or say they need some space or whatever it may be. This is their deactivation time. So when you put it in terms of no contact, the more space you give, the lower their fears start to become. And once their fears are far beneath their feelings again, that's when they're going to start to crave that security and closeness and depth that they have been missing. And people will often look back to the last person they had those feelings with. At this time, you can see fearful avoidants reach out. Now, it's not going to be in an obvious way. They like to do subtle little hints. So maybe they'll check on your social media, or maybe they'll ask you, oh, did I leave this thing at your house? Oh, did I leave my belt at your place? Or have you seen this in the news? Or whatever it may be. They will reach out about something that is not pertaining to the relationship, because if it's something pertaining to the relationship, that is going to activate their fears. So they need to reach out to you to see, is there going to be a bite? Is there something still there? But I don't want to be too vulnerable, so I'm just going to see if they respond. And if they do, then maybe something can happen. The deactivation phase for the fearful avoidant can last anywhere between 3 and 6 weeks, sometimes up to a couple of months. So around 2 months, you might be seeing them checking in and seeing how you're doing and possibly indirectly reaching out. Now let's talk about dismissive avoidance. So remember how I said that fearful avoidants have aspects of the avoidant and of the anxious, which means that they kind of go between the two. Well, dismissive avoidants, on the other hand, don't really have that anxious part of them. I mean, they might have, well, they always have a low-level anxiety, but they don't respond like an anxious person would. They actually, when there is a breakup, they feel extreme relief. Extreme relief, because for a dismissive avoidant, being in a relationship causes a lot of triggers to come up, and they actually feel a lot safer on their own. They feel more comfortable on their own. So when they finally get to be on their own, they're actually quite happy. So if you do see them, they do also like to get into their creature comforts, going out, partying, playing video games, smoking, getting into bad habits. And that's the typical way that a dismissive avoidant copes with all aspects of their life. It's no surprise that they act this way after a relationship, after a breakup as well. But you might see them completely, totally unfazed, like it doesn't affect them at all. And to a certain extent, it doesn't, because they push down their feelings so much that they actually become numb to anything that they're feeling inside. So when they're numbing, they're pushing down their feelings and they're using distractions like video games, binge drinking, having casual flings to distract them from everything that's going on beneath the surface. And for dismissive avoidance, this deactivation phase can actually last quite a long time. I would say 6 months minimum. It's usually even longer than that, if anything at all, because a lot of dismissive avoidants, they hate conflict, absolutely hate conflict. So they would rather start something new than even try going back to a previous situation. Now, it's not unheard of. They do sometimes go back to their previous partners, but it's not likely, in all honesty. So now that I've talked about how both the fearful avoidant and the dismissive avoidant reacts to no contact, let's go back to talking about what no contact is going to do for you. Remember, this is not a game. We're not trying to manipulate people. We are just trying to do what's best for us in the end. No contact is your opportunity to self-assess, to take care of yourself, to focus on you and what you want in life, and to do things that you've never done before. Do things that you've been putting off for such a long time because you've been so focused on this other person. It's time to reclaim you back. And you can do such tremendous work during this time, so much healing and self-discovery. And it's usually in these post-breakup times that people, they start to flourish. Yes, at first it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad that sometimes you don't even want to get out of bed because you can't imagine life without this person. But things do get better. They do. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. I've been through this so many times. And every time I have to remind myself this. No contact is what's best for you. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to do no contact, in essence, to get this person back. But underneath it all, you know that it's what's best for you. Once enough time passes, you start to rediscover yourself, and you start to work on yourself, and you start to heal, and you start to grow, and you start to see this person that you've been with in the past and who you've been trying to get back, and you now start to see them differently, and you realize that's not what I want anymore. I've now done so much work on myself that I want someone who's on my level now, because that's the thing. That is the key thing. If you are breaking up with someone, it means that something has been broken in the relationship. Something went wrong. And in order for things to work again, it means that you both have to do some healing in order to repair whatever went wrong. Even if one person does healing and the other person doesn't, it's not going to work, because you're not on the same level anymore. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you go no contact and if your ex reaches out to you, really think about, is this something that you still want? When you go back and see them, if you go back and see them, ask questions. What have they been doing with their time? Have they put in any effort into healing themselves? Have they had any growth? If they haven't leveled up the same way that you have, it's probably not going to work out again. And you might be better off with somebody new who is on your level, someone who has done the work on themselves too, someone who you can actually build a future with, and who is going to respect the work that you've done on yourself as well. Imagine what it would feel like to attract a partner who is as secure, grounded, and loving as you are yourself. That's the power of this transformation process. Going no contact is not about getting your ex back. It's about giving yourself the space to evaluate who you are and who you want to become, and to take the journey along that process to make that transformation. So, as difficult as it may be, embrace this journey. Embrace it. This is one of the chances that you have to really do some transformative work on yourself. Remember, you're not just moving on, you are moving up. You are leveling up to a higher version of yourself. And every moment that you invest in yourself is bringing you closer to that person that you truly deserve to be with and who truly deserves you. So that's all for today. If you've liked what you have seen, please like, share, subscribe, and make some comments. I want to hear about your journey. I want to hear about how you're handling no contact. What step or stage are you at in this process? Maybe share some ideas that have helped you that can help other people too. Let's get a conversation going and build a really supportive community. That's what I would truly love. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.